Sometimes life can be really stressful, and when you're handling a lot of responsibilities, it's important to take a break. People who can afford it spend their time in the cottage country to unwind, disconnect, and grant themselves the chance to enjoy the simpler parts of life. The Georgian Bay area is absolutely stunning, and I was privileged enough to be invited by a friend of mine to experience a weekend retreat. No concrete buildings all the way out here, the verdant tree line and cerulean water with a clear sky above. This boat ride into town was a truly refreshing experience with sensations that can't be replicated any other way. To be honest, I didn't think a trip like this would be so needed. Over the past year, I'd found myself so connected to others through my university, through different clubs, and new friends from other places as well. In this day and age, the best way to keep in touch is through constant connection with the internet. And in my position, I find myself needing to stay connected for longer, which exhausts my time and energy more than I thought it would. And as much as I love to have a community to connect to, this break from it all was something I was glad to have. Pulling into Pontebello, the closest town on the water, this humble community had sparks of life given the summer season. The place itself was really quite small, with the largest stores being a Swiss Army knife of a home hardware. The community center and playground were the main walking attractions to visit, as well as the lighthouse over the docks. We didn't end up spending that much time here, but it was a quaint place to explore. Sometimes a town or village doesn't need to have big, flashy attractions to make it worth visiting. Sometimes the simplicity of the livelihood is all it needs to be to thrive peacefully. I often find myself caught up with constantly being productive, and I think that mentality imprints itself on everything I do, even travel. But this showed me that these experiences don't have to be that way.
Can I do this or will I fall out?
We found ourselves back on the water, returning to the cottage itself, and being with friends on this trip, some old and some new, elevated it as well for me. The in-person communication and even just existing in each other's space was something I'd missed, given the online separation it intrinsically has. We always see videos or pictures of these far-off places, but being here with people to boot was truly an experience to be had. Some of these people I haven't seen in person for months, let alone for a longer period of time like this, and it's disheartening to have these connections so far away. Granted, online communication has allowed us to stay connected in the first place, but it just doesn't feel the same. There's something to be said about an escape like this, a trip without set guidelines on what one does at each given moment. Most of these trips on this channel thus far have been planned to each individual detail, which is the kind of travel I usually like to do. But here, I didn't feel like I needed to obsess over every activity, every minute of our day. I did fall into some of that planning parts of our trip, but overall it was never a necessity. Also, here's the Pontebello the place is named after, the Barrow Point as it were. Even bringing my camera for this trip was to capture memories for myself and my friends, but in this way, I was able to let go of the storyboarding I usually do in my mind for videos like this. Most of the footage I took didn't even make it into the video for privacy reasons, but also sometimes I didn't even capture or film certain parts because I could live in the moment for myself. Doing activities I don't normally get to do and having a great time with my friends overall, this was what this trip was about.
Nice shot!
And while this video has been somewhat unusual compared to my normal travel opportunities, I find it all the more important to make. This was less so about the location itself, rather a reflective look back on what made this trip so special to me. What made this trip important was travel as a whole. Experiencing a new wave of peace and letting go of that control was what I took away from this all. And maybe we could all benefit from taking a step back, not just to survive, but to live. Until next time, bye for now.